Brajesh Upadhyay in New York there. So how much difference can this visit make to business ties between India and the US? I caught up with Neelam Deo, who spent 6 years as an Indian diplomat in the States and now works at a Mumbai think tank, and started by asking if the relationship between the two countries was improving.
Prime Minister Modi and the US administration have been at pains to say that they have both got past the earlier unfortunate circumstances. I think we should take them at their word. There have been enough preparatory visits from the United States to have introduced substance into what will be discussed. So I think the relationship is reset already, but the visit should certainly give some impetus to aspects of the relationship.
This visit, it's come amidst a lot of interest in India from abroad, whether it's Mr. Modi's visit to Japan, where a lot of investment into India was promised, or whether it was the Chinese president's visit to India. Do you think somewhere that the US might be eager to make big announcements to, to show that, it has its place in the Indian market?
Well, it's a nice position to be in, to have lots of friends. It certainly increases your strategic space. But I think there's no question that the United States as a source also of finance is critical to India. It's also important to remember that the United States is not only India's largest trading partner, it's one of the few countries where we have a surplus. So it's a very important relationship, and I would hope that there will be a powerful outcome out of this visit.
Now, very recently, India took a stance at the WTO to not sign a trade facilitation agreement because of the kind of restrictions it put on individual countries and the amount they spend on subsidizing food for their people. Is that something that's likely to overshadow talks?
This new government could perhaps have done better the way it backed out at the last minute from signing that agreement. But on the other hand, it is a matter of some surprise that the United States of America, which is pursuing two trade agreements, one with Asia and South America and the other with Europe, is insisting that India should have signed this agreement.
Now, companies here, particularly from the IT sector, have been worried about immigration reforms in the US and what that would mean for work permits and visas for their staff who are stationed overseas. Do you think that the US then needs to make a gesture on that front so that it looks like it's inviting Indian business as well?
IT has been the glue of Indo-US relations, and I think that should be promoted. I think a technology agenda between the two countries will take both forward. I think the Americans in their own interest should have immigration policies which do not constrain high-tech and high-value workers. Probably the two should be separated.
So what realistically do you expect to come off these talks?
There will be some progress on a whole list of issues that we have. The Indo-US relationship is quite intense, but I do think that this is a moment for Mr. Modi, who has many ideas on what he wants to do with smart cities, e-governance, all kinds of things, for the Americans to respond more creatively so that they can play a bigger part in all the changes that India will see. So I'm hoping for some new thinking. I'm hoping for some areas of agreement rather than dwelling on the areas on which we will not be able to agree or make any progress immediately.
Former diplomat to the US, Neelam Deo, speaking to me earlier. The collapse of Kingfisher Airlines in 2012 was an embarrassment for India's aviation industry and the businessman behind it, Vijay Mallya. Now, a bank has accused him of deliberately defaulting on debts racked up by the venture, and that's having a knock-on effect for other companies he's involved in. Sameer Hashmi